Hello and welcome to this segment of Arts Talk. Welcome back. And my guests for this segment are Suzanne Barge from 516 Arts and Andrea Poli, who's a professor at the law school. And we also have Teresa in the audience who's going to be talking about an upcoming block party. But we're going to start with Suzanne and have you tell us a bit about 516 Arts and the exhibition that you have coming up, and we're going to show some images from the exhibition.
Well, great. Thanks for having me today. I direct 516 Arts, which is a nonprofit kind of alternative art space. It's somewhat like a museum, and it's sort of a learning laboratory kind of space. So we have changing exhibitions and public programs all year round. And I'm here today to talk about the one that's coming up this fall called Habitat: Exploring Climate Change Through the Arts. And it really focuses on alternative energy sources and positive solutions and artists' responses to climate change. So the exhibitions that we'll have up in the gallery at that time, one of them is called Off the Charts, that you'll see images from, and that's very much about the human experience of changing environments. And then the other exhibition is called New Normal, KNEW, and it's specifically artists responding to climate change.
Okay, all right. So we have some of the images that you sent, and these are images that are going to be in the exhibition?
Yeah, they'll be in the exhibition Off the Charts, and that exhibition works with mapping and human place in the universe as the environment's changing.
Oh, I see. And you said that you're more like a museum, so does that mean that your artwork and your exhibitions are not, the artwork is not for sale?
Actually, it often is for sale, and that's one of our fundraising activities, but it's not required to be. So our mission is all about education and learning and creating dialogue and a platform for education.
Okay, that sounds great. Now, Professor Pulley, I understand that you have a joint appointment between fine arts and, is it
Engineering.
Engineering, okay, and that's really unusual. So tell us about the program that you work with.
Well, I'm very happy to be part of a new program at UNM called Art and Ecology, which is very interdisciplinary. And I also direct a research group at the Center for Advanced Research Computing called the Social Media Work Group. And we are really excited to be, again, collaborating with 516 Arts, because we've collaborated with 516 Arts before for the ICEA Symposium in 2012. And the Art and Ecology program and the Social Media Work Group, we are very focused on how art can make a difference. So this particular exhibition about art and climate change is just really near and dear to our hearts, because climate change is such an important issue.
Okay, all right. And you brought with you Teresa, who's in the audience. Teresa, I understand that you are also collaborating with these women, and can you tell us about the block party that you are organizing?
Sure. I'm actually the Programs and New Media Coordinator at 516 Arts, and I am directing the block party for Habitat. We've done 2 block parties in the past, and what we try and do is relate it to the exhibition that's going on inside the gallery and try and bring it out into the streets. And what that does is it really draws more, a wider audience, people who are just walking by on the weekend, they see something going on, then they come in and get involved. So what we're focusing on for the block party this time, since it's Habitat, focusing on art through climate change, or climate change through art, our projects using solar power and alternative energy sources, and the focus has also started to include issues of growing food, more sustainable ways of growing food, healthy food, and some of the projects might even involve talking about foods that may go extinct and ways that we may still be able to experience them once they've gone as a result of climate change.
Okay, sounds great. All right, and Teresa mentioned that this will be your 3rd block party coming up in September 2015. What were the other 2 block parties related to?
Well, the first one we worked very closely with Andrea on. It was for the International Symposium on Electronic Art that 516 helped to organize, and that was 2 blocks on Central Avenue that we blocked off and had over 5,000 people come. It was a very international event. Actually, for the symposium, we had people from 37 countries come to Albuquerque. So it was great to get them out and mixing with the local community downtown. And there were a lot of really interesting projects. One that really stood out was the lowrider symphony that involved a composer and a choreographer who worked with a local car club to create a lowrider symphony in a big parking lot downtown. And
Wow.
so we did some really exciting stuff for that. And then this past summer we had a block party for Digital Latin America, which was an offshoot or an outgrowth of Isaiah 2012. And that focused on artists working with technology from Latin America. And Teresa's been integral to all of these. She's really the organizer of these outdoor events.
That's great. That's great. Okay, and Professor Pulley, I noticed your students have joined us. So can you tell us about the class that they're taking?
Well, this class is an interdisciplinary class in sound art and environment. So the students have been exploring the Albuquerque and the areas around Albuquerque through their ears. We've done sound walks at the National Hispanic Cultural Center, and they've done lots of recordings and interviews. So we really try to, as part of art and ecology, when we're exploring the environment, it's not just a natural, pristine kind of environment, it's also exploring the social environment or an urban environment. And those are obviously big issues when it comes to climate change as well.
That's great. Okay, so let's ask the audience if they have any questions.
Hi, I would just like to know more about if there's an open call for the downtown block party or Habitat.
Yes, we currently have a call that's open. It is on our website. When you go to the main page, you'll be able to see it's posted right there under events. The first deadline is April 17th, which is coming up pretty quickly, but the second deadline is in July, so we're still open to having projects come in past these next few weeks.
And can you explain the type of projects and also give the website?
Sure. So you can find the information on the event as well as the submission form at 516arts.org. It's ARTS.org. And we're looking for projects that are interdisciplinary, that are interactive, demonstrations, even performances, all under the subject of climate change. So reactions to climate change, ideas about how to create a more sustainable future, even just educating people about the kinds of changes that are happening right now around us, locally, nationally, whatever it is, the area of research that you might be doing or interested in.
Okay, sounds great.
Can you talk a little bit about the history and development of 516 Arts?
Well, I'm a visual artist myself, and I've been doing arts administration work for over 20 years now. And I didn't set out to make that career. It just kind of evolved out of being an artist and loving this community, and I started organizing things and raising money, and it just grew from there. So 516 Arts, I was the founder of it in 2006. I was working as a consultant with the McCune Foundation, and they are very invested in the redevelopment of downtown Albuquerque, and they, out of that process, they asked me to start something new in that building, which they own. So it's been a really exciting process. Initially, it was an experiment. We didn't know how long it would last. We started out with, okay, we're going to try this for 2 years and see what happens. And now it's over 8 years later, and it's been really a blast to organize and work with the community. And there's also been just such a strong positive reaction and need for a space like that. So we're in it for the long haul and just trying to keep it going. But it's a small nonprofit, so we exist sort of year to year, and we do very much through collaboration. We could never do it alone. So all these collaborations with the university and with different organizations, the city, the county, not just government, but small organizations. We try to work with pretty much the whole spectrum of different kinds of community entities.
Oh, that's great. Okay, next question from the audience.
You mentioned that your mission of Arts 516 is to promote education and dialogue about art. And I was wondering, could you tell us about what inspired you to create an art space with those goals in mind?
Well, I started out being more focused on fine art, and I've evolved into becoming more involved in a sort of arts activist approach and trying to raise awareness about issues. And one person who was very influential for me was Nordy Kalishman, who used to work with the McCune Foundation, and he's retired now, but he's really inspired me to think about arts in terms of activism, and meeting people like Andrea and working with so many different kinds of scholars and artists who are doing interdisciplinary work has just inspired me, and I've just sort of followed that that momentum that I see happening around me a lot. I don't see the arts as isolated. I really have grown to see the arts as interconnected with everything.
Well, Dominique, did you have a question?
Okay, so you mentioned that at one of the block parties there were something like 5,000 people and people from 37 countries. How did you get that big of a sort of a draw to one of these parties?
Well, the ISEA International Symposium on Electronic Art, Andrea can speak more about it, but it has a following where people come from all over the world every year, and it's been, at that time it was the 18th symposium, so people follow it, but we also did a lot of outreach as well to bring out those crowds.
Yes. And Eric, did you have a question?
Yeah, I had a question actually for this new the class program. You guys are all here. What skills do you think they're developing by going and listening throughout Albuquerque and that kind of sound technology as you described?
Wow, that's a great question. I think the ability to listen carefully to the environment is certainly something that's necessary in filmmaking or any kind of effective communication through media. You know, most of what we learn comes in through our ears. So if we're trying to communicate something, we really need to focus on the sound. I think people are also learning how to create an environment and maybe transport listeners to another space by listening to the environment. But I also think that listening is just a really important skill overall in being able to listen to people and understand where maybe people from different cultures or different backgrounds are coming from, and also being able to listen to your world and understand sort of what's happening. And I think that ties in, of course, a lot with climate change. We need to engage with our environment in every way that we possibly can. So
Wow.
through our ears is an important one.
That's a great way to wrap up, because listening is such an important skill for lawyers as well as artists and environmentalists. And thank you so much, the two of you and Teresa, for being on this segment of Arts Talk. And thank you, the audience, for joining us.